Hey everyone, I'm Lori Blockus with Om Sweet Om Yoga in Spooner, Wisconsin. Today I'm going to go over a shoulder stand, supported shoulder stand actually, using quite a few props. So what we're going to use today will be a stack of blankets. How big your stack is really going to depend on what type of blanket you have here. I've got 3 Mexican style blankets, they call them, here that I'm going to use. You could use those in any height that works for you, or whatever height you need with the blankets that you have. I'm going to use a strap to help hold my elbows at shoulder width once I'm up in the shoulder stand. I'm going to make a little note here that if your shoulders are really tight and it doesn't really work for you to get your elbows that close together, don't use the strap. That's just going to make things really uncomfortable and not give you a lot of space in your posture. The other thing I've got here is a chair for the toes to land on when I kick up over into my plow pose. It would be probably more typical to see a regular folding chair here. In the spirit of using what I have, this is just one of my kitchen chairs. So, to get going here, just to get us set up, I'm going to start with the strap set up. So if you have a typical yoga strap, you've got a loop in it, you could probably use a belt or a bathrobe tie or something too. I'm going to go ahead and place that just above my elbows, and both arms are in the loop here, so I'm going to make sure that my elbows are approximately shoulder width apart. And make sure you've got a solid strap that if you put any pressure against it, it's not going to just become a lot bigger. So that's just going to be here kind of waiting for me. My blankets are already set up, so I've got a nice smooth edge here to go under the shoulders, and that's just going to ensure that I have a consistent level of support every time I come here versus the fringe side of the blanket. What you're really looking for with your blankets, again, will be the proper height that makes your neck and shoulders comfortable, and you just want to make sure that you have enough surface area here that you've got enough room for your shoulders and your upper arm to be supported. So pretty much the length from your elbow to your shoulder joint will be supported on the blanket. The back of your head will be on the floor and the neck's just going to be floating in between. So the extra height from the blankets is actually going to help us to preserve the natural cervical curve in the spine. So I'm going to get myself positioned on my blankets. Hips are actually on the floor. Some people like to place a block under the hips, referred to as a bit of a launching pad. I don't really enjoy the launching pad so much. It's great going up, but it's really kind of awkward when you're coming down and out of your posture. So I'm just going to position myself so the top of my shoulder joint is maybe an inch or 2 away from the edge. And that's because as we kick the feet up and overhead, your body typically will slide just a little bit toward the edge of the blankets, but we want to make sure that the shoulders are actually ending on the blankets. I'm going to take my strap here and just hook it around one of my upper arms, just so it's already somewhat in place. So I'll let the back of my head find the floor, and I'm going to keep my gaze straight up throughout this entire posture. So shoulder stand is really kind of simultaneously exhilarating and relaxing posture. The one thing you really want to be careful of is to keep your gaze straight up and not turn the head from side to side once you get into that real deep cervical flexion and have a lot of weight on the shoulders. So it should be pretty safe if you keep your gaze straight up. So I'm going to actually use my hands as more of a launching pad under the hips. Tuck my shoulders under just a little bit so it feels like my shoulder blades are sliding toward each other, so to speak. A little abdominal strength and a little kick of the legs. My toes are going to land on my chair up there. So if you can see my position here, I'm pretty much on the backs of my shoulders, and I'm actually going to change that up so I'm a little more toward the top of the shoulders. So just one at a time. Some people keep their hands behind them to do this. Works well for me to bring my hands actually up and give a little push with my hands. So a little bit higher up on the shoulders here, and this is where I'm going to position my strap as well. It's already hooked around my left arm, so I'm just going to take my right arm and slide it through so my elbows can't splay out to the side. So I'm going to plant my upper arms and elbows down on my blanket. Where your hands land is going to depend a lot on your body. So some people have them up a little higher toward the hips. Others will have them working down toward the shoulders or anywhere in between. The
Classical posture would have your hands moving down toward the shoulders, but you have to work with your own flexibility there. So once you feel like your arms are pretty solid, we've got the toes on the chair. This means that our hamstrings aren't as big of a factor finding just the general setup of the posture. So I'm going to relax the belly to some degree. I don't want to push it out away from my body. I'm letting it relax into the body instead. Nice and firm through the legs, lifting one leg up at a time. Keep those arms planted back there, lifting the second leg up as well. So the weight is really on my arms and shoulders here. My head's just resting against the floor. I really don't have a lot of weight on my head or neck. So it is a shoulder stand, not a neck balance. Once you're here, see if you can actually soften the throat and the neck. So you might find that you have some unusual gripping in various body parts like the legs or the hips. You really want to be reaching up through your entire body, but not causing additional stress. Same thing with the breath. Breath works differently here. Gravity is working differently on the diaphragm. So you might find that your breath kind of tends to whoosh out of you. See if you can control that to some degree. So as you become more experienced, people can stay in this posture for several minutes. Probably don't want to stay in it for that long your first time out. Now my right leg up, my right leg was the first leg that I lifted up, so that's going to be my first leg that comes down. And I'm going to really reach out through the length of both legs as I lower that leg down, so making sure that the weight stays anchored on my arms and shoulders the whole time. Once you get your legs down on the chair, don't forget that you have a strap around your arms. So you'll want to remove that so your arms are free to just let you exit out of the posture. So you can start to lower down. Shoulders will kind of naturally release back to the back of the shoulder rather than up on the top. I'm going to catch the hips with my hands. If you're tight in the hamstring, you're probably going to want to let your knees bend here as you're going down. Let your core help you, and you can sure get one leg down on the ground and then let the other leg down. Once you're down, you can either slide or shuffle, however it works for you, forward or back so your shoulders, neck, and head are all on just one flat plane. So I've got mine all on the floor here. You can choose to go the other way and rest them all on your blankets. Really doesn't matter which way you go as long as you just sort of neutralize the cervical spine at one level. So you can take a few breaths here. When you start to feel things normalize, if it feels appropriate, you might want to just gently, gently, gently turn the head from side to side to help the muscles in the neck and shoulders release a little bit. Be sure to go both directions. And when you're ready, you can just rock off to one side and press yourself back up. And that is our shoulder stand with quite a few props actually. Hope that's helped you to make a little space in your posture. Thanks for watching. Namaste.